Two Polish artists, C.T. Jasper and Joanna Malinowska, were inspired by the title character of Werner Herzog's Fitzcarraldo, or better to say, they were provoked. And they decided to bring an opera to the tropics, to somewhat repeat the gesture of Fitzcarraldo, but also to show it in a very critical light and to disclose his corrupted agendas. In order to do that, we knew that we need to bring an opera to a meaningful place, and that it needs to be a very specific opera, and there is a larger historical and contextual framework. In the early 19th century, Napoleon was fighting a war in Saint-Domingue. It was a revolutionary war of the slaves that started in 1791, and he decided to put an end and bring back slavery in the colony. Polish were fighting for him at the time, and the legend has it that some of the Poles rebelled against Napoleon and joined the revolutionaries. We know for sure that around 200 or 300 Polish soldiers ended the war on the side of the Haitians, and that the Haitian Revolution of 1805 granted them very special privileges, calling them honorary black, giving them the status of citizens, which was unseen for other white people, and granting them land. So many of these soldiers settled in Casale, what is a village in the mountains, and their descendants live in Casale still today. So we decided to bring a Polish national opera to show to these people in Casale, to show them the cultural production of their ancestors that was produced around the time, a few decades after their ancestors settled down in Haiti. The title is Halka. It was written by the most prominent Polish composer, Stanisław Moniuszko, and it tells a very typical for 19th century story of a peasant girl seduced by a mighty landlord and then abandoned, who finally, of course, kills herself at the end of the story. But there are also a few elements that we found very proper to show in the mountain region of Casale, because it takes place in the mountains in Poland. It's a story of simple people with a lot of beautiful emotions and love and death and tragedy that can be easily understood even with the Polish original libretto. And also it has a class conflict in the background, which is important in the light of the Haitian Revolution, our shared Polish-Haitian history. The end result of the project, which we are showing here to the biennial audience, is a multi-channel projection showed in a format of painted panoramas, but it's a film, on a large monumental screen. The film is about 90 minutes long. It has two parts: the overture, which shows the setting, a morning, a dusk starting over the village in Casale, and then we move on to the opera proper. And it's a one-to-one real-time documentation of the opera. There were no cuts made. We just turned the cameras on and wanted to show the situation as it happens, with the passing motorbikes, with the animals and people passing through the streets, as we have staged the opera just on the road in the open air in Casale, with more and more people of the village gathering to see it.